One of those poignant moments I've had in the last few months is my visit with a young man that we'll call Jonathan. He's incarcerated here in our country in a detention center. I went to visit him, and unfortunately that particular day, Jonathan was again in isolation. And I had to visit with him through a steel safety door and a piece of safety glass about 9 inches by 9 inches. When he came to the door and they told him I was there and he recognized he'd written to me, he was expecting me to be there, he approached the door with his blanket over his head. And he covered his head like it was a hood, and you could see that he was using it as a bit of a shroud, trying to hide a little bit. But you know, the longer we talked, the more he understood I was there to care for him and the love of Jesus, not out of my own self. Frankly, I was a bit uncomfortable, not really knowing what do I say to a young man through a steel door. We just shared the love of Jesus. We prayed with him. We smiled at him. We looked into those eyes, which were very hollow, and tried to speak about hope, about a new day, a new direction, about what new behavior would be. And the amazing thing was that blanket started sliding down over his head. He started revealing more of himself. He put it down around his shoulders, and then eventually it disappeared out of my view in the window. And the symbolism for me was, thanks, Lord. He and I are developing a relationship. There's a sense of safety that's here. There's a sense of really the Holy Spirit through the steel door and through this glass, connecting us relationally. My prayer is that he really started to understand that I could see the image of God in him, that he wasn't some thug from the street who'd made a mistake, whose life was now no longer valuable, that in the eyes of Jesus, he had the same value that I had. Jonathan's 15. He has 3 years before he ages out of the juvenile system and moves into the adult system. 36 months to be able to change that behavior. For Jonathan to come out and actually rejoin his mom and his siblings and maybe make a difference with all of his siblings. You and I matter in that family. You and I matter in that equation. You and I matter in the life of a young man created in the image of God. How will you and I engage? Don't let Jonathan sit in that 6x8 cell and wonder if anyone's willing to come to him the way Jesus in Matthew 25 calls all of us to go to the prisoner. You know, as we enter a new year, we all make these New Year's resolutions that we never intend to keep. And, you know, if we'd all lost all the weight that we've committed to in every new year, none of us would even exist anymore. But maybe this is time for a new direction spiritually for you. And I'm not talking about anything that's really metamorphic. I'm talking about taking a few minutes of your time and my time to go worship by serving the least of these. We have a great opportunity for you. Just go to the website, prisonfellowship.org. Click on the whole volunteer section. How do I help? How do I get involved? Fill that form out. Let the Spirit then guide you through that process as individuals contact you, as you start looking at opportunities, as you go through some of the training. Just let the Spirit lead you. Let it be an act of worship, not necessarily an act of doing something, but being someone. And being someone significant in someone else's life. My bet is you're going to experience worship well beyond anything that you've experienced. You'll have the same reaction I've had. By volunteering, you don't just go spend a few hours. You have the